Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and welcome to episode 232. Shift from product first to product last. And this is kind of a companion piece to our episode 230, also available on the CX-CC YouTube channel, which was about hypothesis first approaches. Hey, Vicente, where I'm making you Italian again. Hey, and Aunt Lucia. Hey, so the Portuguese speaking contingent is here. Today we're going to take a look at um, what is product first? What should it be? Hey, good morning, Mickey. Great to see some of our old regulars coming back. Hi, Melanie. So I'm not going to say hi to everybody. We've got to jump into the article and go through that and then turn it into a discussion. So as I'm reading, if you have comments, questions, challenges, agreements, disagreements, get them in the chat and we'll talk about them after I go through the article. And as always, I want to give a quick thanks to our paid Patreon members. Some of you know I have a Patreon, patreon.com/CXCC. It's really just there to replace my mailing list so that there is nothing between me and you and no algorithms hiding stuff from you. Boy, I am not loving those algorithms. So please join the Patreon, even at the free level. The paid level is optional. I'd be happy to have you there. All right, so let me get all of my windows ready and we'll zip on over. Okay, now let's press some buttons. How about this button? Okay, so how did I do, everybody? This should be the article and the chat and me at the bottom. Is that what it looks like? Okay, great. So you can find this article on Medium if it interests you. It's in our publication, R before D, rbefore.d.com, and it's shift from product first to product last. Once upon a time, oh, we should really go with the sparkles for that, right? Once upon a time, Product First was supposed to be about how to best deliver products and features to best serve customers. After all, if we're not serving customers well, what are we doing? We need to win customers, make them happy, retain them, and create growth for the company. This is done through great products and services that meet or exceed target audiences' needs. I'm not sure why someone called this product first. We're putting the customer and their needs first. We should have just called it user centered or customer centric. That would have helped us stay focused on product market fit and customer satisfaction. But over time, the definition of product first evolved or devolved to mean absolutely putting the product first. We start with an idea, feature, or solution, or as we talked in episode 230, a hypothesis. We'd rather start with trying to prove our idea is good than to better understand users and their tasks and needs. We think this will be fast. Product first is often business first. We typically start with business goals and what the business hopes or needs to achieve. We have product management, books, and authors reminding us that we have to put what the business wants first, or else we'll go out of business. The business wants to make money and keep making more of it while cutting costs. We know this. I think of business goals as the tonic pedal. Where are my musicians out there? The tonic pedal, a single note playing underneath the rest of the music. Or perhaps business goals are the cloud always hanging over us. Our process often starts with a feature, a piece of the product. We might say it's a hypothesis or solution. Sometimes it's a solution to a problem that's not well understood. We're sure we really know customers, so we didn't bother researching people, tasks, or their decisions. Sometimes the problem doesn't exist. We reverse engineer use cases hoping someone might have some reason to use this thing we came up with. Sometimes it's a stakeholder centered solution. This is what a leader or stakeholder wants us to do for their own good or bad reasons. Sometimes we call customers and ask them what features they need. We forget that most people think in terms of their tasks and making them efficient and accurate. Our target audiences might be open to any feature that achieves that. They might not be able to envision or invent the feature that would serve them best. But we're focused on the product, so we ask them about the product, our ideas, and what do you think of this mock up? Over time, we've moved further and further away from focusing on product as how we deliver value to customers. We fell so in love with product that we forgot that product doesn't exist to push customers around a chessboard and make executives happy. Our products and services are all we have, and their main job is to win, satisfy, and retain customers. If we're not doing those well, we're failing. We claim that we want to deliver value and satisfy customers, but how do we follow through on that? How is that baked into our processes? Are we driven more by deadlines or by quality? Are we counting how many features or fixes we release and not considering how users perceive their quality or value? Do we say outcomes over outputs and then celebrate one or both being low quality or failures? Is anyone truly held accountable for poor outcomes, failures, and bad decisions? If we celebrate or glorify failures, does that mean we see outcomes as good even when we failed? Oh my God, so many questions. And which outcomes do we care about? Business goals and objectives? Or do we also measure success from customers' perspectives? Customers don't care about converting more or higher average order value. Which outcomes are we measuring that resemble how our customers will measure or judge our product or company? I truly hope this product feature better helps me convert into a paying customer, said no website visitor ever. What were people trying to do? What were they trying to accomplish? Sorry, were they trying to accomplish that task faster, more easily, cheaper, with greater accuracy or no errors, or without needing to contact support for help? Did we facilitate that? Can we measure what we improved for users? Can we measure what we made worse? These are the true outcomes. Signals of customer and user success are signals of business success. Product is an output. We are product last. Product should be a strategic and tactical process through which we create something valuable, desirable, accessible, and hey, it's just what I need and it just works. If you're lucky, it'll be innovative. But considering how badly companies do the basics, I'll settle for not innovative at all, but it's great for how I need to accomplish my task. Don't start with product, features, ideas, or hypotheses. Start with a good understanding of target audiences, tasks, experiences, and pain points. Be solution agnostic early in your process. Avoid the feature factory and order taking. Maybe the well understood problem is solved through product. Maybe it should be solved with a service. Maybe both. But we can't understand users' problems and their root causes without good research executed with good rigor. At the end of that process is our product. We're product last. Product first should be customer first, but it's too often a feature factory of order takers. Product first is too often empathy theater, pretending that we really care about our users while treating them as pawns. Product first is too often a guessing lasagna of misguided or ego driven experiments, making paying customers guinea pigs as we quickly push out minimum viable frequent failures. Product first is innovation theater. We say innovation constantly, but what have we innovated or invented? What have we disrupted? More importantly, are we getting the basics right? Are we so great that customers never complain about the simple stuff? Product first doesn't mean that you have product market fit for your next big idea. Your concept, hypothesis, or solution looking for a problem might be a poor fit for your experience ecosystem or the market. Product first isn't necessarily lean. Lean is about examining processes, outputs, and outcomes and trimming the fat of risk, waste, defects, bugs, and low value crap. If we're seeing failures, poor decisions, poor process, poor outcomes, and we'll fix it later, we're not lean. Product first might not be agile. Maybe you do it in sprints, but the core of agile is consistently delivering quality on a reproducible cadence. It's not about going the fastest we can, it's about being efficient, balancing velocity with quality and successful outcomes. If you have speed, but low quality or poor outcomes, congratulations on your speed, but you don't really have efficiency. A factory floor spitting out defects is inefficient. Part 2 of the article is my customer centric product last process. It's similar to how I presented the process in chapter 20 of my Customers Know You Suck book, which hopefully some people have read, totally optional. So now I'm calling it product last, but it doesn't really have an official name. So let's talk about the phases of the high level process for how we achieve this. Phase 1 is understanding. Phase 1 isn't a hypothesis that users need this or will increase conversion rates if we try this. It's not, does anybody like my idea? Or can I validate that something is the way I think it is? Phase 1 is really understanding what's going on here. Context, human experiences, technology. What are people trying to do? How do they do it now? What's working well? And where's there room for improvement? Tasks, habits, needs, and real problems. We learn these through observation first and conversation second. We're unlikely to learn this through a survey or by asking people what they need. Sometimes they don't understand their own problem or know what would best solve it. We claim to value research and learning. So let's have specialized researchers answer our open questions and change opinions, guesses, and assumptions into evidence, data, and knowledge. Hold on, we've got a graphic for that. We're solution agnostic at this phase. We're not exploring or testing features or ideas. We're not checking if people imagine that they might be interested in a thing we could build that they can't see or experience now. Phase 2A, problem statements. After this generative qualitative research, researchers will write up problem statements among other artifacts and documents. Real problem statements based on real current customers and target audiences, not something we've invented, hoped, or tried to reverse engineer. Thanks to phase 1, we know where people have frustration, confusion, disappointment, distraction, inefficiency, anger, a knowledge gap, and dead ends. We can tell the difference between symptoms or consequences and the root causes underneath them. We don't have a product yet. We shouldn't have a list of features. We're still solution agnostic. Phase 2B, prioritization of these problem statements. Instead of which feature should we do first, we prioritize problem statements. Which problems should we handle first? Why? This is a cross-functional team discussion and decision. This isn't owned or controlled by one role. Oh, what are we reading? Sorry, I just arrived. This is my article called Shift from Product First to Product Last. I'm on part 2 of the article where I'm talking about a better process, so you'll want to roll back and catch the whole article if you haven't read it before. Okay, so we were saying that phase 2B is prioritizing the problem statements we came up with, or at least the researchers came up with in phase 2A. And that prioritization is normally determined based on 3 factors: business value, target audience value, and tech and engineering. Typically, a representative from each of these areas scores problem statements for how high a priority each problem is. These scores combine to give a final score, though discussions might cause something else to rise to the top or sink lower. Phases 1 and 2 are more customer centric. Phase 2 brings the voice of the business back into the conversations. Here's where we start balancing the two realms: business and what I call your experience ecosystem. Potential users, current customers, procurement roles, resellers, installers, maintainers, third parties, etc. Phase 3A of our high level process is strategy. Given what we know about people, contexts, systems, tasks, and problem statements, and knowing that the business expects to generate revenue and achieve other results, what's our strategy? What is our carefully crafted plan to make all of this happen? How will we make this happen efficiently with the least risk and the least waste? Our strategic path to business success requires us to take the people in our experience ecosystem on a path to success. We can only do that when we understand their tasks, needs, and habits. We need an overarching CX strategy. Some would say that we need a product strategy. But what if the answers aren't product? What if they're services, experiences, human interactions, physical products, or something else? Not everything is best solved with a digital product. Our CX strategy is the strategic approach for how one or more projects will achieve a set of goals we've laid out for our company, as well as the tasks everyone in our experience ecosystem is trying to achieve. Phase 3B is planning. Now that we have priorities and our overarching strategy, your CX and UX teams and workers should be able to estimate their work and create a plan and maybe a roadmap. Given the problems we plan to solve, how much time will they need to do their work well? Do they need more headcount, tools, or other resources? This is where we budget for what it takes to do more of the human centered design process well. You can also catch my micro lesson on the Delta CX channel on how I do some of that planning and estimating. Just go to YouTube and search Delta CX Planning. I think that one will come up. Now, at phase 3B, it's a bit, yeah, not everything is a product. Newsflash. Um, in phase 3B, it's a bit early for engineers to estimate. Usually, we are rushing to get engineers to start estimating and planning, but it's hard. We don't have the solution yet. How can they estimate how long it's going to take them to build when they don't know what it is? We have no idea what the solutions or designs will be, so engineers will need to estimate and plan later. Now, I have this in this article as phase 3C, but I've been rewriting this behind the scenes recently, and I might actually call this phase 4. So, this might be a little bit of an evolution from what I've had in my book, and in this article, might call it phase 4. Doesn't make a huge difference, but just a thought for anybody watching this in the future and they see me with something that says phase 4 and you're like, what happened? Hey, stuff evolves. So, phase 3C, or possibly phase 4, potential solutions. We started our product last process without pre deciding the solution or the features. We were solution agnostic until we had enough evidence, data, and knowledge to consider what would best solve ecosystem problems and deliver value and quality. Now we're ready to consider those solutions. Note that solutions and features aren't the same thing. A potential solution is something that we believe will satisfy our balanced user and business goals. There are multiple possible solutions. The solution we eventually select as the best will be broken into features that engineering can build. These potential solutions can be modeled and tested. This is part of the human centered design process and executed by CX and UX professionals. We don't test for do they like it? How do they feel about it? How often will they use it? Or what will they pay for it? We're testing for does it solve the original problem statement? Does it solve it well? Did it create any new problems? Is it the right execution of the right idea? Or do we need to go with a different execution or a completely different idea or solution? Where is there room for improvement? Once our designs or prototypes are tested and professional researchers have verified good usability and that the execution and idea solve real user problems, now we have a product. It's at the end of a product development, or more accurately, an R&D, research and design slash development process. Demolish and abandon the feature factory. We are product last. We are experience ecosystem first. We avoided the typical cycle of throw it at the dartboard and pray experiments. We avoided the guessing lasagna, guessing why people do or don't do things, layering on guesses of what they need or want, and more guesses around what would best solve that. We have a solution made up of features and functionalities, but we're not the feature factory. We didn't go with solution first, guess first, or product first. We put more strategy and critical thinking into the process. We're more likely to be successful. We worked smarter, even if it took a little longer. That time investment will pay off in value, quality, and saving us from having to clean up our own messes later. We have an assembly line and various specialized workers, but we didn't have a product until the end. We are experience ecosystem first because that's the path to achieving business goals in the short and long term. We measure outcomes beyond did the business get the conversion rate it was hoping for? We measure experiences. Does the task take less time while also being less error prone? Are users seeing increased efficiency or accuracy? Does this system work well for their tasks, habits, perspectives, decision making, and styles? Are our target audiences complaining, returning products, or ending contracts? Shift your language and processes. We are product last. It's the output of the process. Build quality in. Prioritize quality as much as your customers and users do. And with that, I've read you the article, and now we'll take a look at some questions and comments. And thanks to our first one is from Ignatius. Debbie, apologies. I joined late. No problem. Happy to see you. How do we apply your knowledge in reality with all the constraints, etc.? Yeah, we talk about this in my space workshop about how very often we can read books, we can get training, we can read articles, but if we're not empowered to make any changes to the process, guess what? You might not make any changes to the process. We can't always make change. So there are constraints and there are people who stand in our way, but we have to find the allies. Listen for the people who are hungry for something to go better than it's going now. Listen for the people who aren't happy with all the failures we've had. Listen for the people who aren't happy with how long projects are taking, or especially disaster projects where sometimes we've spent hundreds of thousands, millions, and sometimes it gets scrapped. So listen for the internal pain and see if there's a door open there to talk about can we try something a little bit differently? And yeah, we're going to be trying something new. And like any experiment, it's going to be new. It's going to be different. It's going to be weird. And it could take longer. It's not an experiment that takes less time. It's an experiment that's going to take more time. But we've got to try something different. We claim we want to be experimental. We claim we want to be agile. Are we open to trying something different because we're not happy with our outcomes? We're not happy with customer conversion. We're not happy with how that project went. We're not happy with all of our failed A/B tests. Clearly, guessing at what people want isn't going very well. Thank you for the lovely heart. So, again, I always remind people that you can't always make all the change that you want. Even I can't always make all the change that I want. I go into companies, I make recommendations. They take some of them. And so you're not going to be able to change everything, and you just have to look in the mirror and remember you did your best. But you can try. And if you are in a lower level job where you really think you can't get any of this done, bring these ideas to someone above you. This video will be available to my paid Patreons in probably tomorrow morning. And 2 weeks later, it'll be available to everyone in the public. So you'll be able to share this out and say, hey, check this out. Think about this. Let's take a look at what's going wrong here. Let's have some tough conversations about where we failed and we shouldn't have failed. Let's not rationalize failures and say, oh, failure is great. Failure is great product management. It isn't. It just isn't. Failure is right. Saying these things about failures are just excuses because we're afraid to look at how bad things are going. What's your reply to someone who says they don't believe in personas? I say, that's fine by me. Why do they have to believe in personas? Very often, personas are garbage. It's very rare that I've seen really excellent personas. So, my question would be, why are we making personas? Do we really need personas? Is anyone using the personas? If they're not actionable, who knows one of our many catchphrases here? Is it this one? If personas aren't meaningful, actionable, and helpful, why are we making them? And if someone doesn't believe in them, I feel it because I've seen many, many personas that suck. So I would say in my world, I'm typically making behavioral typologies. So they don't have the typical persona data that is very demographic based. I'm grouping people more by behaviors. You can also see in the article that I wrote, demographics suck and are from some other era. We have that both as an article and I think as a video. So you can find that on YouTube by searching for CX-CC and then demographics suck. So I'm totally fine if people don't believe in personas, but chances are we have to group our customers or target users in some way. And it should go beyond demographics. I in that article I talk about how sick I am of all the things that are clearly aimed at me as a 50-something-year-old woman when I can tell if this is what 50-something-year-old women are like, I'm evidently either not 50-something or I'm not a woman. Elliot says personas don't easily marry up with the complexity of inclusive design. You'd need to create 20 of them. Yeah, that's definitely true. We used to be told, like, only make no more than 6 personas, and sometimes up to 6 can make sense. But Elliot's right. The more you're looking at the true diversity of your audience, the more that you're going to be seeing that they don't all fit into Supermarket Sally or whatever you've created. So when people say, "Yeah, we've got 2 personas." I go, "That's it? Every single type of customer that you have is one of these two?" And then it's like, "Oh, wait, not really." So typically when I'm making sets for people, it's at least, usually it's 5 or 6. I try not to go above 6. Why? Because then it starts to get hard for people to make sense of. If I showed them 27 personas, that starts getting very complicated. So I would think that we can possibly have roughly 6 sets of personas, depending upon what you found. I've done 4 before, I've done 3, but I try to go for the no more than 6. And then, of course, within that, you're going to have people with variations of those behaviors because of disabilities or other factors. Ignatius says, why do UX designers in the modern world get stuck in the role of becoming a business analyst? I'm not seeing that very much. I would almost want to see that because then we would get to make a lot more of the strategy and calls than we do now. Is that happening where you live? I'm trying to remember which Ignatius you are. Are you Ignatius in South Africa? So maybe not, and I apologize. I can't remember everybody's everything. Joe, I recognize. Solomon, I know where you are. Melanie, I know exactly where you are. Mickey reminds me, which always helps. Vicente keeps moving around, so I'm having trouble following where he is now. It was Portugal. Ana Lucia is also in Portugal. Um, I haven't seen much of the way of mapping for the collective or superorganism. Iggy, um, that's where you are. Oh, hi, Marjolaine. Porto. So, yeah, I don't talk that much about mapping Lisbon. Oh, yeah. Okay. So great. All of Portugal is here. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for staying up late with me. And the gong probably went off. So we're going to wrap up in the next few minutes. So please get any other questions about today's topic in the chat. Shift from product first to product last. If you came in late, you can always roll back the video. But because of how I give everything to my paid Patreon members first, this is going to be taken off YouTube in about 10 minutes. I'm sorry, it's going to be unlisted on YouTube in 10 minutes, and it's going to be completely deleted off LinkedIn. Oh, that's right, you're in UAE now. Okay, at least you're the Ignatius I'm thinking of. So, yeah, mapping for the superorganism. I don't have any article on that right now. Let me write that down as a possible request. Mapping for collective. I can't spell. It's bedtime, everybody. Or superorganism. All right. Possible for the future. Mickey, what have product managers and LinkedIn product leaders commented on this article and discourse of product last? Aha, yes. I said I wanted to take a look at the comments and I forgot. Thank you, Mickey. What would we do without you? So um I don't get a lot of product managers commenting on my stuff. So we have 3 comments here. Let's take a look at them. Eddie is digging it. Thanks, Eddie. Priti says, how does one shift the mindset to product last while in the middle of delivering a product and knowing that the design culture in CX is not mature in the organization? I think this is really close to the question we got from Iggy about how do you do this when we already have processes and ways of working and we're trying to deliver? How do you change the process? And I tell people, get permission to try one project a different way. Yes, it's going to take longer. Yes, it might need to be a different team composition, but you don't have to change the whole company. Get permission to do one project in a different way. Try that. Thank you, Iggy, for the private message. Nina asked, I would love to know how other organizations have successfully transitioned to product last in an organization that's structured and budgeted in a way that supports product first. What are some steps that those in product research, roles, and leadership can take to influence this shift in mindset and process? Yeah. So the transition has not been happening very much lately. I think people are still very much in love with product first and the feature factory. They keep reading books that say get out of the feature factory, don't be the feature factory, escape the feature factory, but they love being in the feature factory. So I'm not seeing a lot of success in this transition yet. So I think I can't fairly answer this question because it's something that I'm pushing and not everybody's going for it. Um, Anything on LinkedIn. Yeah, I don't get I'm getting more and more product leaders following me on LinkedIn, but of course, thanks to the algorithm, they don't see many of my posts. In fact, nobody sees many of my posts. I have 40,000 followers on LinkedIn, and sometimes my post is seen by 800 people. That's why I'm asking everybody to please join the Patreon. The Patreon removes the algorithms. Anything I post, you're gonna see. So, but then they won't miss it. So, I am going to be speaking with a product leader tomorrow. They've been reading my book and they wanted to talk about some stuff. So, I think that some of this is going to happen through maybe some private conversations and see why we're staying in the feature factory and why we are happy with having so much failure when we should really be having not failure. So, um, yes. So thank you to the great question there. But I wish product leaders and product managers were asking me more questions. I wish they were more customer centric. I wish they cared more about customer experiences and outcomes. And unfortunately, I'm still seeing people focused more on deadlines. We have deadlines. We have to do sprints. We have deadlines. Just get the product out there. Maybe we'll fix it later. People will figure it out. And I feel like we've been doing that long enough to know that it has not been working well. All right. Me again. Can I set up a call with the client I'm working for? Hold on. I assume this must be related to the private messages you're sending me. Let me see. I want yes. So for people who want to have a call with me, I've got two different calendars depending upon what the call is about. If you need some coaching and help with me, everyone gets one free, and then I charge for my time. That's deltacx.link/coaching. If you have potential work for me where you want me to join a project you're on or help advise a client or be part of the project or do some consulting or try to create change in your organization, that's a different calendar, and you can find that one at deltacx.link/chat. If you need coaching, please don't use the potential client calendar. That messes up a whole bunch of things in my own record keeping. Yes, you can set up a call with me, Iggy, or you can set it up with me and your client, or whatever. Mickey says, have you thought of doing a collab video with John Cutler? What do you think of his work? I'm not following him on LinkedIn. And I get the feeling he's not following me on LinkedIn. I'm not sure I've ever seen him comment on any of my stuff. And I usually don't see his stuff unless someone comments on it and then it's in my feed. Let me look him up. Let's see. John Cutler. According to LinkedIn, he's not following me and I'm not following him. Does that answer your question? I'm not against it, but I'm not sure that would happen. I'll just say I'm not against it. I would love to do more shows with product managers and product leaders, but I'm always a little worried about what they're going to come on and say because I don't want this channel or our shows to turn into fights or debates. Um, because I think both people look bad when that happens. Let's say he comes on and let's say we find there's something we completely disagree on. We have opposite views. We're making opposite recommendations to companies. Now, what do we do? End the show? Fight each other? I feel like there's not a lot of good outcomes there. And so I tend to not invite on the show people I uh, might strongly disagree with. I don't know if I disagree with him or not. I really don't follow his stuff very much. Once in a while it lands in my feed because one of you press like on it or something, and I rarely comment on it. I think I've commented on 2 of his posts this year. Um, I'm not following him and he's not following me. Does that answer your question? Thanks, Mickey. You can always bring it up to him, see what he says. Any other thoughts or questions before we wind up? I've been trying to keep these webinars to 35 minutes. We've been going about 40 now, so I would definitely want to wind up. While we see if anybody else has questions, just a reminder of what's coming up on this channel. Tomorrow is Q&A AMA, where I take your questions live and try to mentor and coach people around the world by giving some free advice. Wednesday, we don't have a show. And then Friday is going to be Critical Thinking stream, but not on the CXCC channel. It's the only show I still do on the Delta CX channel. So head on over to Delta CX to see the Critical Thinking stream. All the other streams are here on CXCC, which is a different channel so that it can have a little bit of a different focus and possibly a different audience. And that is this week. And then let's see what's going on next week. Got 2 webinars next week. Monday, we'll be doing AI users are neither AI nor users. And Wednesday, I'll be doing We Create Customer Disloyalty. If I haven't done that one already, I have a weird feeling I've done that one already, but I'll make a note to double check because I did accidentally double book my own webinars. And thanks, as always, to the Patreons, uh, as my bot reminds me. So again, please subscribe at CX-CC, ring that bell, do all the things you have to do to make sure you know I'm talking to you. Join the Patreon, even for free if you'd like. Also check deltacx.com/links. We have a Slack community and 2 Discord communities, and of course the events calendar with stuff that's coming up. I'm doing fewer shows in May because I'll be traveling around America, but there you go. And as of today, it sounds like my contract job might be ending in June. So if anybody would love to work with me or thinks they might love to work with me, and your company has some sort of open job, or I can do some consulting with you, please reach out and let me know. And Ignatius is sending funny faces that I can't see from here. But thank you for all of the fun faces. Okay, thanks again to everybody who joined in live. And I am going to flame us out of here. And I hope to see everybody tomorrow for Q&A AMA. See ya. Good night.